So Joshi will give you the, let's say, the in-depth information about Saudi. So thank you, Mom. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is one of my favorite topics because half of the month I'm there in Saudi. So out of the 65 days, 200 days I spent in Saudi Arabia. So that's one of the largest growing market in the region. If we look at Saudi from the industrialization point of view, we are talking about a $300 billion reserves with the government, which they can invest in any company at 1% interest rate, which is a follow feat by the SIDF. You have PIF, which is Public Investment Fund, who is giving fund at 1% interest rate with 1% down payment to any company who wants to put up a plant. There are 4 auto zones which have already been decided. Last week I was with Royal Commission of Yanbu in Yanbu. They have recently come up with the auto zone to put heavy equipment and trucks assembly there. They are developing the entire supply base for that. Right now we are working with one of the government body to establish a car manufacturing plant in Saudi, and that's going very well. In 2018, you will see that first Saudi-made car is going to be produced in 2018 and 19, and we are developing a complete cluster there. So a lot of things are happening in Saudi. In this presentation, first we'll talk about some of the industry facts. Then we will come to that how we can invest in Saudi or how we can trade with Saudi, because when you are in Saudi, you have to be aware about the Saudiization and how it impacts your business when you go there. You can leverage that or you can be impacted by that. So let me start with some of the facts and then we'll discuss about that. Fourth section, we'll talk about the vehicle sales, then we'll talk about the UIO, because spare part always depends on UIO. We'll go into spare part and then some of the key questions and key points here. When I look at the overall sales, here we will talk about only passenger vehicles, not talking about commercial vehicle right now. Put together, the industry sales has already crossed a million number last year, putting all the vehicles together. In passenger vehicles, the number was about 714,000, and it includes cars, SUVs, pickups, and trucks up till 3.5 ton category, which we classify under pickup category in this case. The market has grown by almost 5.3% over last 5 years, and here one interesting fact: in 2009, government has come up with a regulation that the used vehicle more than 5-year-old cannot be imported in the kingdom, which has directly impacted the used vehicle imports. It has come down to 4%. It used to be about 12-14% in 2008-9, but now it has come down to just 4%. And this growth we are expecting, and it's a conservative estimate, 6.3% growth over next 5 years to reach at 968,000 vehicles in Saudi Arabia, highest in the Middle East region. And if I talk about the vehicle age, most of them are going to be below 8-year age. If you look at the country of vehicle imports, now one interesting fact about this slide is you will see that Japanese share is coming down. But we haven't accounted the appointment of new Nissan dealer in Saudi Arabia, and he is doing great. Nissan used to sell about 14,000 vehicles. In the first year now they are planning to sell about 60,000 vehicles, and they are on track. So Nissan is one OEM who is picking up very fast, eating into Toyota's share, not eating into any other share. They are eating into Toyota's share. So from the spare part perspective, we need to be ready in next 3 years' time to supply the replacement part for Nissan in the market. Hyundai doing very well. First 2 quarters was not well for them in this year, but overall they are doing brilliant, and we expect them to increase their market share by almost 5% in next 5 years. And this 24.9% put together, it was just about 14% 5 years back. They have done a brilliant job in Saudi Arabia. GM is revising its strategy. In 1997, they had 5 dealerships. Now in 2017, they are only going to have 1. Right now they have 2. So they are moving towards consolidation. At the same point of time, if you look at Ford might diversify in near future. They might have multiple distributors in Saudi Arabia. European Union vehicles are not doing very well, but I am not talking about If I add the growth of luxury vehicles, yes, it's good, but by volume, they don't have the very large share in the market. Chile is doing very good. I mean, their hatchback starts at 22,000 reals and they are selling in good quantities now. So Chinese vehicle, only Chile is doing well, other vehicles are not doing well. There is a story behind that. When I look at overall OEM-wise market share changes in future, Toyota, we can see a drop. Hyundai, when I say Hyundai, Kia is included in that. Talking about growth, GM, there is a drop. GMC is doing well, Chevrolet is not picking up. That's what is bringing it down. Nissan, 1.2 to 8%, because Nissan always had potential in Saudi Arabia. Their distributor were not doing well. Now Alisa Group, who was there in the market, had good reputation with the GM brand. They've started dealing in Nissan, and it's doing really well for them. Ford, a marginal drop, and it's a debatable issue because they are changing their strategy. Earlier, the reason was run from the European perspective. Now they are developing a Middle East strategy. If that succeeded, we can see a jump in Ford as well. Honda is a marginal growth, not doing well in Saudi Arabia. With this, I will move to the key takeaways here is the OEMs to watch for in future is Nissan, Hyundai, Kia, and if Ford strategy succeed, then Ford. With this, we are moving to the units in operation, the UI units, the vehicle park. We are talking about almost 7.1 million passenger vehicle on road in Saudi Arabia. It's one of the highest UIO in the Middle East region. Almost 6.4% growth. Now here we took the 12 to 15 year life of the vehicle. If I talk about the JRD region, which is Jeddah, Riyadh, Dammam, vehicle life is about 12, 13 years. But the moment you go beyond JRD region, you will find more older vehicles. So there the vehicle life is up to 14, 15 years. They don't have any vehicle scrappage policy. It can run even after 15 years, but their mileages comes down. And if it is a pickup, Sudan, Nigeria, these are the market to export the vehicles. At overall level, if I talk about the OEM share in vehicle park in 2013, definitely Toyota had the highest, more than 50%. Then the GMC, because they have been selling in this market for so many years, 12.6%, then Ford, and Hyundai is picking up. In future, 5 years down the line, this graph will change. We will see Hyundai picking up, we will see Nissan picking up, and we will see Toyota coming down. At overall level, when I talk about the vehicle park, we see about a 5.3% growth, going about 9.1 million in 2018. Japanese and Korean vehicles, they lead the market. More than 5-year-old vehicle today is about 55%, which is going to change in future. That will reduce to 50% with the increasing park. 10-year-old is 22%, which is going to reduce to 18%. So older vehicles are going out from the system. If you look at the average age of the vehicle, right now it's 7.5 years, reducing by 0.5, reducing by 6 months by 2018. And this is the interesting fact. Among the key countries which has the highest mileages in the world, today it's about 30,000 kilometers, which is increasing to 32,000 in 2018. Amongst the key countries, I mean, if I talk about lubricant, they change lubricant. If it is a monograde, five times in a year. Even if it is a non-synthetic multigrade, they change about 4.5 times a year. Even synthetic, they will change it 3 times. So that also impacts the wear and tear parts, mechanical parts, and all those. So here the OEMs to look for from the spare part perspective, definitely Toyota. Market is very, very competitive for them. But the key is, this is the right time to look at Korean park, because the vehicles are more than 3 years old now. And that's where the customer doesn't want to go to a service, to authorized service station for servicing their vehicle. Parts are easily available, which we call domestic imported parts from Korea. That is the well-established channel, which you will not find for the GM and Ford. But genuine parts are available in aftermarket. There is a huge potential for any company to enter that segment of bearing, of suspension, of spark plug. Huge potential in that market going forward.
Sorry. Quick question. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, save it. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Moving to the spare parts, talking about $3.8 billion market in Saudi Arabia. Now when we talk about the market, we talk about local consumption. We don't talk about import and re-export and all. So we talk about what is getting consumed within the country. And we're talking about $3.8 billion going up to $5.5 billion with a growth of 7.7%. And if I look at this market, how it is different from UAE, most of this is genuine part. So when we say genuine, genuine includes the OES, genuine includes the OE, and genuine includes the part which are coming from the domestic channel within the country. And there is a lot of part exports which happens from UAE to Saudi. Half of them are genuine. Dependency on imports is very high, degree of competition is very high because you have small traders, but with the Saudiization this is changing. I mean, small traders cannot survive because they need to have minimum 22% Saudiization, and to get at a platinum level they need to have 30% Saudiization. With those high salary they cannot survive. So there is a consolidation of market which is happening. So how we can get benefited out of that? Either we can be a player in the market, or we can be a trader who is trading with only with the large companies. We'll talk about that in further slides. The overall distribution of parts in the mechanical, maintenance and collision category. Maintenance is 44%, collision is 34%. One interesting fact here, all this collision part doesn't go to insurance companies because the level of insurance, the insurance penetration in Saudi is about 55% only when it comes to the vehicle. There are 45% which runs without insurance or third-party insurance at max. Talking about key parts, 3,000 kilometers, and some of the service costs which they incur in the minor repair and the major repair. Again, fleet market is really growing, and then Hyundai is selling good vehicles in the fleet market. Those vehicles are coming in the aftermarket for repair. 6 levels of channel: OES part, OE parts, alternate parts, spurious parts, imports, and system suppliers. System suppliers are Bosch, Denso, all those who are supplying in the market. Going down to the channel breakup. Now, if you look at it, OES, OE parts and domestic imports, these are genuine parts, more than 70%. Why we call domestic imports the genuine part? Because these parts are coming from country of exact origin. Let's say if it is Toyota, these are Toyota made parts which are sold in Japan, but they are coming to Saudi Arabia without involving Abdul Latif Jamil, their distributor in the market. It is coming from a different channel altogether. But these are genuine parts. If I talk about an OEM, a distributor of an OEM, they sell parts from 5 channels. They sell it from their workshop. There you have 2 types of channel: service workshop, service channel, and the counter sales. And then in wholesale, they have 3 types of channel. So they also re-export, but although re-export from Saudi is minimum, it just goes to Sudan, Egypt, and some parts of the Turkey, but it's there. I would like to close this presentation with some of the questions and some of the ideas. How a spare part company can be present in Saudi Arabia? It can be a trading or it can be a physical setup. If you go and establish a trading house there, you can actually get benefited from the Saudiization norm. You can be a platinum company to employ 30% Saudis. You can get your salaries back from the government. Salary will pay the salaries to your Saudi employees, and you will get the funding at 1%. You can run a very profitable business, but you have to strategize this properly. If you are talking about manufacturing, yes, it's possible. There are 10 components which has very huge demand in Saudi. Starting from the friction material, goes to the spark plugs, then it comes down to the shock absorbers. If you are spending 40% equity, you can get 60% and up to 75% funding from the government. Therefore, there are 10 spare part companies who already shortlisted Saudi as their next manufacturing base. They are in the feasibility phase, and the government has already allocated them land for free. It is almost free. They have promised them to provide them funding starting from 50% to 75% based on their location. If they are in Sudet, they will get 60% funding. If they are in Yana, they will get 75% funding from the government with 6% down payment, 1% follow-up fee every year. If the funding is coming from PIF, they just need to pay 1% down payment and 1% interest, which is a follow-up fee. for the loan. You get 5-year grace period, you get 20-year payback period, and a lot of benefits are given. The only benefit which government will not offer you is the tariff and non-tariff benefits. They are not going to raise the import duty for the product which you are going to import in the country. They are importing in the country. They can only give you preferences in buying. We very closely work with Saudi Aramco. Saudi Aramco buys material of $6 billion every year for their own consumption, and 70% of that are imported. So we are working with Saudi Aramco to convert that import material to the localized one. So our plan is to, in next 5 years, to make Saudi Aramco purchase those material locally and reduce their dependency on imports. There, Saudi Aramco is paying 15% premium to those companies who are going to set up plant in Saudi Arabia. So a lot of things are happening. The only thing, we need to know the right channel, because each pocket in Saudi Arabia works differently. We cannot go to one body and establish the plant. If we are going into one zone, we need to understand which is the commission of that zone, and it will operate separately. If we are going to one investment body, we might be making a mistake. OEM vehicle offering potential for parts. Again, is it okay to go for Toyota or Japanese OEM, or we shift our focus on Korean OEMs or some of the European OEMs whose parts are not available in the market? The volume is low, but parts are not available, so it will give you a premium over pricing. That can be another strategy to go ahead. Markets to look for. When I talk about Saudi Arabia, I talk about 3 countries put together. Dammam is a different country, Riyadh is a different country, Jeddah is a different country. If you are talking about the genuine part, I will say go to Dammam. If you are talking about the OE part or the second level part, the biggest market for you is Jeddah. If you are talking about the parts for the used vehicle, because it has a huge demand, you will see Crown Victoria, you will see Mercury running on road, and their parts are not available. Then you don't need to be present in JRD. You have to be in some of the satellite cities. You have to work with those distributors in the market. So it's a very large country. You need to have different strategy. You cannot put the strategy which you are focusing for Jeddah to Dammam. It's not possible. It has to be strategized properly. With this, I will close my presentation for today. Thank you very much for your time.